Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cheerleaders, welcome to an episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my true partner, Anthony. This is a Judo podcast for Judo players by two Judo players. So, Anthony, how you doing?
Doing good. I actually have a question for you.
You had a question for me?
I guess a different opener, right? So I was thinking the other day, when was this? I've been meaning to ask you for a few episodes now, basically, but I keep forgetting.
Okay.
I went to coach at one tournament at one time. I can't remember which one. Mm-hmm. And I started noticing this, I've seen it at BJJ before, BJJ tournaments. I've didn't know that it made its way to judo, but I've been seeing more BJJ people cross-training judo in competitions. Mm-hmm. But oxygen breathers, those what do you think about that? Do you think it's overkill to bring that to a local tournament? I don't even think, maybe I'm wrong, but if someone knows, let me know. I don't even think Olympic athletes use that. So I think it's a kind of overkill.
I have no idea because you can't use it during a match. You can't during one of the mates. They roll it in or something. You have to use it in between rounds.
It's this. Yeah, it's this small can that they use in between matches and before a match. It's the whole idea is you're flooding your blood cells with oxygen, basically. Yeah. So I don't know, but if it does work, I kind of think it's cheating in a sense. I was going to bring that up because in MMA, you're not allowed to use an inhaler or oxygen breather in between rounds. Unless you have a doctor's note saying I, for example, use an inhaler. So
yeah, but you can't use it in between rounds though. I can't be like, Anthony, I'm throwing out here, man. Real quick, open up.
No, I actually have a steroid inhaler. I literally will fucking die if I don't use it. Look at this guy, taking steroid in the middle of the match right here. Yeah. Which is it goes into one of the reasons why I decided not to compete. We'll talk about, but yeah.
But it's funny because I have seen people bring those big long canisters you see at soccer games and stuff.
Yeah,
not the big long ones, but the bottle size ones. I've seen those ones lately, and I'm just I thought, man, that seems like a really good idea, but it's one of the things does it really work? I'm not sure because I
haven't done research into it.
What?
I haven't looked into it. I'm sure if I do some research, I'll find out whether it's just placebo or whether it's really small effect but I think it's just the whole, I'm not talking about whether it works or not. All right.
Yeah.
I'm asking about whether it looks ridiculous and whether it's overkill. I
don't know. The way I feel in between matches, sometimes it's not overkill. As an outsider watching, it definitely looks like overkill. But sometimes you be dying in between those matches, brother.
Well, what's a good comparison? It'll be going to a local, what do you call it? Those local kickball leagues or whatever, or the casual soccer or tag football leagues. The it's just like a social activity to go drinking afterwards, basically, or hook up with people, kind of thing.
Yeah, hook up. Oh yeah,
it's funny because mama. No, when I was straight out of college, I was single for a long time, and my sisters was you should join a soccer league. It's or kickball league. I'm I don't want to play soccer or kickball, and you're not
there to play the game.
You're not there to play the game. You're there to meet girls. Is what they're she's that's what everyone does. They don't really give a shit about the sport.
Watch one of our viewers are I love kickball. I play seriously on the weekend. A pickup game, man.
Yeah, but it would be showing up to that, and then you're doing this elaborate warm up, and you have your super special Nike jersey on, and then gloves and. I don't know. It feels like it's kind of overkill, or showing up to a game where you play with little kids and you're bringing your what do you call it? I always when I go bowling, when people take out their bowling ball,
bring out their own shoes,
the bowling ball, and with a little sack around it. I'm dude, it's not a competitive game. We're just playing over the weekend with some friends and drinking and eating. Or going to Top Golf and bringing your own golf clubs. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny that we talk about. I was talking about in between a round you get your killers. I mean, there's years ago. I think it was a white belt, maybe brown belt this time still, and I was competing at the California or it was Nika Games. I didn't train super hard for that tournament. I was just I'm doing okay. I'm gonna go to this tournament where I was dying on the mat. Eric thought that he was after the match was done, after my first match was done, I was laying there on the mat like dead. And the ref is going, up, sir, up, please, up. I'm just like, give me a second. Eric almost stepped on the mat to pull me off. He was like, Juan, I thought I was going to have to go pull you off the mat. I was like, I felt like I was going to crawl off that mat. I could not. I was like, I'm dead.
That was my first tournament. That was my first tournament too. I was like at a corner, couldn't breathe because I didn't know at the time I had asthma basically, right? So I was in a corner about to throw up and I felt like I could not like breathe fast enough basically. So, but yeah, so I guess it is overkill.
I don't know.
It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it seems a little like, it seems like overkill from someone that's, if I was in the stands watching, but I can understand how people can use it, but it's like, dude, it's a local tournament. I guess I get it. Makes me some of the nationals, winter nationals, and we're gonna talk about that in a little while. But that's the thing. I don't even
if you don't even see professional, well, not professional, but you know what I mean, like high level people do it. Like maybe they do, but if I don't see it, it's kind of like, yeah. But then, like you said, there's rules against that kind of stuff, right? And
it's all this weird sports science. People believe in all these little weird things nowadays. One person says this on TikTok, and suddenly everyone believes it and is doing it now. You know how it is.
Yeah. But
all right.
Yeah.
And with that, I want to congratulate Nanka and the Winter Nationals for already having over 700 people sign up for the tournament. Not quite 800 yet, but 700 already, which is a great number. And I believe that what did I hear? That the estimates, like they're hoping to get at least 1,000. Yeah. Which they're pretty close. So it's going to be a very good tournament this year.
I mean, this is just me, but traditionally it's a 2-day tournament. And the first day is the last couple of years, it's been 2 days.
Yeah, I think last year's was. I don't know the year before that because it used to be 2 days
before, the year before that was canceled, I think.
Yeah. It used to be first day was Rondori. Oh, yeah, first day was the tournament.
Rondori.
Yeah, Rondori was the actual fighting part. And day 2 was like a kata tournament was day 2, and they got rid of that.
Yeah, but now it's doing it. Now it's the first day is the seniors, the veterans, I can't remember what the novice, senior, veterans, and then the second day is like the IJF. I don't know what they call it, the IJF, the junior and the cadets. So basically like that. But I feel like there's not that many people that compete in the IJF cadet level thing. I looked at a bracket, so they might, if they hit 1,000, I think it'd be better to just split it up.
Yeah, like it's gonna be 2 days now. So
yeah, so maybe have novices. Depending on which one's larger, have novices go on the second day too. I don't know. So
no. I think even novices first day that we don't have to go out there twice. Okay, keep it all in one day. All the adults.
An issue. Yeah, I don't really. I like the venue. Yeah, I just don't like. Well, actually, there's 2 things I don't like about the venue. Right.
Okay.
One is I don't like having to pay a spectator fee. But that's out of their control. It's something that Azusa Pacific does. The parking's pretty bad too. The parking there, that's, I guess, 3 things, right? It's bad sometimes. If there's multiple events going on at that place, then it's bad. But if it's just judo, it's not too bad. Yeah,
like,
but that's something they should account for.
Parking, the parking is like right in front of the gym. Yes, that's a little bad. But if you go to the side,
but they should have signs that tell you, okay, this parking lot's full because there's multiple events going on. Where you should park over here and walk through the campus. That's what they should do. But I don't know. That's one thing I don't like. So if they hit 1,000, well, this time I keep forgetting every time. I'm not going to be there this year, I think, but I would recommend those who are going to check whether there's other events going on during that day. If there is, show up earlier to park your car. Like, you would find parking and show up early. But if you're like, oh, I compete at 2:00, and then you better allocate some time to park far away and walk over, because that's what I had to do one time. Yeah.
Well, another reason the tournament's going to be so big this year, like it's always a big tournament, but we're hoping it's a huge tournament this year, is that this is the first year where it's full USA Judo sanctioning, and they're actually going to allocate points. That's why it's a 2-day tournament now. For the cadets and the juniors, they're getting points. I think the seniors and the veterans are also getting points. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I don't know. It's points don't mean anything to me.
Yeah. So I don't. And because it's a point tournament, people better watch their weight this year because it's only official. Well, they're always official and stuff, but there's not going to be a whole lot of places to go weigh in this year. Like you have to weigh in
traditionally Hollywood Judo was a satellite weigh-in, but they're not this time. There's only one satellite weigh-in place in Valley Judo, and the reason I asked Philippe why, and it's because the tournament director is there. So you can't really cheat it. And it's funny because when we were a satellite weigh-in place, we've gotten certain calls where people were I'm not going to say who, but it's clear which club they're from. Not Gardena, but they call in asking all these weird questions. Like it'll be like, oh, my dog, it'll be the equivalent of my dog ate my homework. Can I like submit my paper a day late, or like kind of excuse? So I'm not going to go into the specific excuse, but they call in asking all these weird questions about whether they can, I think the funniest one I got was like, oh, his brother's around the same weight as him. Can his brother show up to weigh in instead? I'm like, no, like what kind of question is that? It's like, oh, he's sick. He's sick right now. He can't weigh in, but his brother is like super close to him in build. Like, can he come weigh in? I'm like, what the hell?
Well, truthfully, if you wanted, we don't know. Like we're checking IDs, which we should now start checking IDs. I think they can just send whoever they want over to make weight for them.
Yeah, but
this is a big tournament for points. So they always like make sure you're on weight. There's only 2 locations: the satellite one, and then the one at the Zeus Pacific. Which I like these tournaments because everyone's like, I know people aren't cheating at these tournaments, but then it sucks because when you go weigh in, you're there forever waiting. Oh my God. And then you get people cutting in front of you, or like, oh, this is my teammate. Then like he has 5 teammates cut in front of you like that. It's like, oh my God.
You had to deal with that last time, huh?
Yeah. Last time I swear that was like when we first lined up, I had like 10 people in front of me. Like, oh, cool, be in and out. Then like one guy showed up, then another guy, then his whole team showed up. Then another team showed up with another person in front. I'm like, oh my God. So that's just one thing I hate about with these serious weigh-ins, that people just cut in line. I hate that. My pet peeve, since one does not like cutters.
That's what I like about Japan is that they have all these unofficial rules, like so societal norms about lining up. Well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I was
lining up. The bad thing that some BJJ guy was complaining about me, that was behind me in line, was like, man, I can't. It was a BJJ guy and a wrestler. They're 2 talking behind me. And they're like, oh, at a wrestling tournament, we have like 5 weigh-in stations right now. And the BJJ guy was like, yeah, we usually weigh in like the day before. Like, they're just talking about how it's not so. This is one bad thing about the last weigh-in. There was one check scale you can check your weight on, and then one scale for them to be weighing you in. So it took a long time because almost everybody wanted to check their weight. Everyone wanted to check weight. I was under, so I knew I was under. So I was like, I should be good. So I was a little paranoid, but I was like, no, I have to check my weight. I'm good. But everybody would like do the check weight first, then they go weigh in officially. It's just, let's get some more scales.
They'd have to buy more than one scale.
Yeah, I know. It's so much money. Oh my God. Or have more than one person checking everyone's weight, have 3 people there that you can trust to check weight. Oh, crazy.
They should just have like so you have one to check your weight, right? Then they should have another one where it's just a bunch of, what do you call it? Wooden planks you get from Home Depot. And then like a little seesaw, you form a little seesaw, and then you have like, okay, there's a light guy, medium guy, and a heavy guy. This guy's roughly around 100 kg. So if you step on the plank and it's not, then you probably should go out and run. Yeah.
Oh man, but I look forward to competing. It's too bad that you're gonna go compete this year or be able to go help coach.
Yeah, I was contemplating I was actually contemplating when I was in Japan. I'm like, do I really want to do it this year? I do want to do it because it's how big it is, and I've just been wanting to make up for the lack of competition last year because of all my health issues. Not that it isn't. Wait, I said last year, but it's still this year, basically.
This past year.
I was like, I've been so sick. I haven't been training or competing a lot. So injuries, and I was thinking about it. And then I realized I have a trip right before it and right after it. So I know I'm going to be jet lagged. And also coming back from Japan, my knee wasn't feeling well from sitting on the plane for so long, which took a couple of weeks to sort out. And I also don't want to risk getting injured right before a really expensive trip that I have planned to. I talked about Singapore and India. So there's that. And then what finally put the nail in the coffin was I was asking my wife, like, I qualify for veterans division this year as of October. So should I compete in just veterans, or should I compete in seniors, or should I compete in both? And then she was like, we have guests visiting that weekend. And I was like,
they can come watch us.
No, she gave me that look like she's not, this is one of the things she's not okay with, because she's okay with me spending like 6 days a week at judo, basically, like judo and jiu-jitsu. But she's not okay. When she's not okay with certain things, she'll actually say it. She's like, it'd be really nice if you can actually make it, like that kind of talk. So I'm like, okay, I'll just, all these things together, I was just like, yeah, mainly the injury thing is what I don't want to risk, because I'm spending a lot of money going to planning this trip for my friend's wedding. So I don't want to muck that up, basically.
All right.
But the other thing that made me, like the biggest thing that made me not want to join is that the fact nationals will be in LA next year. So I'm like, okay, I can do nationals next year instead. So that's the silver lining, I guess.
See, that's a very interesting question too, because we haven't got the direct how it's gonna be laid out this year. But for people that don't know, in the US, so next year, I believe it's the May. I'm not sure what weekend it is, but I believe it's in May this year. We're gonna have the California State Championships, Golden State Championships, and USA Nationals happening at the same time at Azusa again.
Yeah.
Because USA Judo liked how well the Golden State Championships was held last year. Like, okay, we're gonna let you guys
Golden State Open.
Yeah, Golden State Open. All right, that's one. I get all these names mixed up. So my thing is like, are they going to be holding two tournaments at the same time? Is it one day and then the other day?
Like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be like President's Cup that one year, where they had President's Cup and then the Open Nationals back to back. Because I had a lot of people friends that I trained with at the time that aren't U.S. citizens or they don't have green cards. Then you're not allowed to compete in USA Nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you have to compete in the open division, not your own weight class.
No. Well, you're allowed to participate in the President's Cup, but not USA Nationals. That was how it was. So it was back to back. And then you had people that competed both days if they want to. So so that's an option.
So do you think like Saturday is going to be Golden State and then Sunday is going to be US Nationals?
That's how it was.
Oh, and that's another thing, people out there, that US Nationals, it's only for seniors and veterans. It's no kids. Are there teenagers? I can't remember if there's cadets or...
I don't know, but seniors not limited to seniors. Like you can be 16 or something and you can fight in seniors if you want to.
All right, that's what it is. Okay. Yeah, so we won't have a lot of kids on the second day, hopefully. It'd be some 6-year-old, I'm going to go out there and fight. All right, so that's some little bit of judo news for our international listeners for the U.S. and how things are happening out here for us.
There's one more thing.
Try. What was
since I was talking about my trip, I got an email from USA Judo about the Veterans Worlds is going to be held in Tokyo in January. If I got this email 4 months earlier, I would have chosen not to go to. My wife is outside, but
yes, I would have gone to India.
I would not go to India. Basically, I would choose to do the World Championships, assuming I get picked.
I didn't hear you. I think you said a little louder, please, for me.
Yeah, I would have chosen to go there to Tokyo to compete at least put my name in the hat, right? Because they said if you're interested, submit your, I guess, I forgot what they called it. Basically your equivalent of a judo resume, like a petition is what they called it.
Send us your CV. We'll look at it.
Yeah. So I would have loved to do that. Like, obviously they mentioned all the transportation and lodging costs you're going to have to pay for it yourself. That's why they're doing it like this. You don't really have to qualify, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to see who submits their name. And then from there, they're going to be like, well, who's the best has the best chance of at least placing high?
Yeah.
That's probably what they're going to do. So, so if you hear this, I'm just spreading the word. Make sure you check your email. If you not sign up for USA Judo, if you're interested, email them. I can't do it because I'll be in India. Like I said, I already spent a lot of money on the trip. If it wasn't that much of a cost, I would have canceled the trip, honestly. When's the next time that the Veterans World's going to be in Japan, right?
10 years.
Yeah. So it'll be very different then. So, so good opportunity if you're interested and you're old now like me and you qualify. then do it. Yeah. All right. That's all I want to say. Okay, so this is recorded after I recorded this current episode because someone reached out to me and wanted me to share some time sensitive information. Basically, there's a judo tournament out in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's called the Intermountain West Judo Championship. So it seems like it's a pretty popular local tournament in the area where they have people from Idaho and Nevada come. But if you guys are from like me, that travel a lot, I know some people in our dojo actually travel to Salt Lake City sometimes. So if you guys happen to be in Salt Lake City in the area, make sure you check out this tournament. It's on December 1st to December 2nd. Yeah, it's December 1st to December 2nd. So I guess it's a 2-day tournament, or it's probably going to be in information, but sometimes they have a weigh-in or a clinic, so they list it as 2 days. The entry fee is really low, so it's really we've been seeing a trend of judo tournaments charging more and more money because of like you paying smooth comp and all this other stuff. But this tournament's on smooth comp and is still pretty cheap compared to all the stuff I've been seeing in local California tournaments lately. There's going to be a clinic with Olympian Flor Velasquez. So the evening before, so that's probably why the date is 2 days. There's a open division where seems like this guy Sensei is going to be competing in. There's also a Kachinuki promotion matches. So I was confused for a while when this was sent to me because I thought Kachinuki was like kind of like the Japanese high school team tournament format where you beat one person and then you fight the next person on the other team, like a team versus team. But it seems like it's also after reading the rules, it seems like it's also applied to the Batsugan format. So I guess it's basically like a Batsugan from what I can tell. If I'm wrong, let me know or leave in the comments. But there's also visually impaired competition. So I know our visually impaired episodes got a lot of attention, a lot of listeners. So if you are in the area or you want to travel Salt Lake City for whatever reason, then check it out. All right. And I'll leave a link to the Smooth Comp sign up link onto the description.
All right. So let's just talk about some of the tournaments here in America and apparently Japan as well. So the next thing we're going to talk about is something that me and Anthony, we deal with, a lot of judo players deal with, and we're going to put it out there, but it's not exactly what we're putting out there exactly. We're going to talk about some little subdivision of this. It is burnout or judo burnout.
Yeah, we kind of discussed this beforehand, like, burnout, like everyone deals with burnout, but it's not just burnout. It's more like burnout is part of the discussion, but sometimes I feel like, man, why am I spending so much time in judo? Like, I'm looking at my friends, they're traveling everywhere. I'm still traveling everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But they're traveling even more, or they're picking up hobbies, they're going snowboarding, they're going like ice skating, or like they're doing all these other things.
We go ice skating. We do some judo ice skating. You saw that hockey video, the guy threw him with that Haragoshi.
Yeah, but also like there's all these other things I want to try. Like I tried to pick up gymnastics, right? But I couldn't fit it in my schedule.
You're too tall.
No, it was mostly the fact that it's hard to find adults gymnastics school, and also it's pretty time consuming to commute an extra day out to where it is because there's only a few places that do it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I guess we can start with talking about burnout first, and then we can talk about like the opportunity cost, like whether it's worth it to spend that much time on judo. And this is not, obviously, we're not talking about the people who are just showing up to class twice a week kind of thing, because if you're doing that, you have plenty of time to do other things. This is more towards people that volunteer in any capacity with helping the club, whether you help with the kids class and you train yourself, or people like us who like help teach class, so we're there like 3, 4, or 5 days a week, or people who have their own club, like Sensei Philippe, for example, like he spends a lot of his time at the dojo and in and outside of the dojo. So whether it's coming up with lesson plans, running tournaments, communicating with other dojos, setting up training seminars, or like people like me that are just so into judo that even when I'm not training, I'm like, for example, we'll just talk about it next episode. But I was like over the weekend, I was watching the new IJF referee seminar in Casablanca. It was 2-part video. It was like 6 hours. So I'll do stuff like that. I read topics. I post on Reddit about it. I try to help beginners out. I do lesson plans and make a podcast, like YouTube videos, all about like a huge part of my life revolves around judo. And sometimes mainly what triggered this thought was when I was in Japan, I'm like, is it actually worth it? Because my past trip to Japan, this last one, it was like a break from judo I had, other than that one day where I trained. And I was like, this is kind of nice sometimes to take a break from judo. And it got my brain kind of thinking like whether it's worth it. But then once I come back here and I start doing all this stuff again, I don't even question it. So, but yeah, let's start with burnout. Have you?
Well, here's the first thing. Okay, so to get people to understand how much we're at the dojo for. Okay, so how many days, including teaching stuff, would you say you're at the dojo?
So it used to be more, believe it or not, until we added the intermediate class. When we added an intermediate class, that helped me consolidate the teaching and my own training. Because it used to be I teach one day and then I train the other day. I teach one day and train the other day. Now it's like I teach and train, teach and train, teach and train. So I'm actually at the dojo less, even though it's the same. I'm actually at the dojo for longer hours total throughout the week, but I have to commute less to the dojo. Right now, Monday, Wednesday, and then soon to be Tuesday, but Monday, Wednesday, some Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah. Those are the days I'm at the dojo now. And on Thursdays, I go to the clubs nearby my house. Like I go to different clubs around my house. And this is before I'm even counting BJJ. Like I would go to BJJ in the afternoons on every day. And Tuesday and Thursday, sometimes I would go to BJJ. And before COVID, I would go to this open mat on Sundays. And maybe this isn't going to be for everyone, but personally, I count BJJ as part of my judo training because I go to BJJ to improve my judo newaza. That's my goal for going there. So I know we give the recommendation, many people, which is what you should do, by the way. If you cross-train BJJ for whatever reason, especially if you're starting off, you should do BJJ for BJJ. Don't try to do judo stuff at BJJ, like turtling all the time, being super defensive, that kind of stuff. Like you should not do it. But for me, for example, I'm not doing Aaron Bolos, like stuff that will never ever happen in judo, or there's no self-defense sort of either it never happens in judo or there's no self-defense value in it. So everything that is very BJJ sport specific, like what was it, the worm guard, for example, that's another good example. I would refuse to do it because that would not benefit my goals, basically. So to me, my BJJ training is part of my judo training, but that's just personally for me. So if you include that, I'm spending a lot of time on my judo training.
Well, for me,
basically every day except for Sunday. That's the answer to your question.
Pretty much. Like I only take pretty much 2 days off a week, sometimes 3 days off, because there's Monday, Wednesday, Friday that I go train/assistant coach and stuff. So the other days where it's like sometimes I get to do a full training for myself. Some days I'm mostly helping out people. Okay. And then there's Saturdays where I'm there almost the entire day, just like you. You're there the entire day almost.
Yeah, Saturday we're there literally the whole day.
Yeah, where I'll go there early to get my own workout in before I go teach my class, and then I'll stay for randori stuff. Or if you need help, I'll come in early, help you out and stuff, and do my own thing. So like you and me, we're there all day on Saturday.
Sometimes, like I said, I show up sometimes on Fridays, but sometimes I wish we had like a bed in the dojo. So on Fridays, I'll just like, you know what? I'm going to be here in like 5 hours anyway, or 6 hours. I mean, might as well just like sleep here, you know? Well, I have to get up in 6 hours to start getting ready to come to the dojo. So I might as well just sit here. But I also have to, for me, I have to add in my commute time to the dojo.
Yeah. So like, I get it, especially with you when you're there, like as much as you are and stuff. Like this week, you help substitute a lot. Today you took 2 of Eric's classes this week because he was busy. So
I was there every day except for like I was there every day.
Yeah.
I was at
every
dojo
day
every
we
day
were
this
open,
week.
you were there.
Yeah.
But you deserve it. You know, you've been taking a lot of vacations lately, so you should take some extra shifts.
So that I that's how I saw it. I was like, man, I was gone for so long. I should make Eric cover my classes a few times. Yeah.
But then with me, with my side train, like I go to catch once a week, and that's not too bad for me because I take catches like my, I don't want to say like day off, or I take it easy because he's like, oh, you guys are super easy. It's like, I'm not super focused on judo on my catch. It's like if I see good judo, if I see a good throw, I'll take in the stuff, but I'm mostly focused on catch stuff when I'm at catch. It's more to open up my repertoire of moves, and I'm there to play around with stuff. Like the video I posted with the guy that kept on sitting on my damn foot, so I decided to debar him. I was like, all right, you can keep, I'm gonna mess with this. I didn't do it on purpose. I'm gonna try to hurt him or nothing. But I was like, all right, I'm not gonna be nice now. I'm gonna do something mean to you. But yeah, so like even with me, when like I said, like I'll do 3 days during the week 4 days a week at judo. Then I'll do an extra day of catch. Mm-hmm. Me, that's different. But then on days I don't work out at judo, like I go running on Tuesdays or go running on Sundays and stuff, you know? And I can understand the thing about getting burnt out because it is sometimes the repetition of coming to class and stuff can sometimes get boring. I understand that for people that train, and then people like you and me, like we're training ourselves and have to teach people at the same time. Like I said, coming up with the lesson plan of what we want people to learn, or for me, like your lesson plan is you can set your lesson plan better than I can. For me, since I have a mixed class, I'd be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna work on today. Shit, no one in this class.
No one showed up that has the prerequisites for that.
Yeah, then I'm like, shit. Okay, well, who's here? What do these guys need to learn? Okay, I'll go over this and this today. I have to come up with like a couple game plans in my head. There's like, okay, if I get a lot of orange belts today, I'll do this. If I get a lot of green belts today, I'll do this. If I got a lot of high belts, I'm gonna go over some brown belt stuff today, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of criticism out there, which is also kind of what do you call it? I'm like just woke up, so because we're recording this an hour and a half earlier than we usually do. There's a lot of criticisms out there about instructors out there who just show up and be like, what should I teach today? Like, yes, it's valid. That's kind of like a valid criticism. And you have like no plan, but sometimes you have to like you said, like depends on who shows up that you have to teach to the crowd. Like for me, when I first started teaching, I had like everything planned out to the 10-minute mark. Like literally I had like a timetable on my phone that I was like tracking and I was timing everything. And then that wasn't valid because some people would ask questions and I'd be like, you're going over time. Like,
no questions. Gotta go.
Yeah. So that didn't work. And two, like you said, it depends on who shows up. Right. And then what happens if they're unable to do that? Like whatever exercise you're trying to do and they just literally can't do it. It's like you can say, well, it's too bad. They got to keep practicing, but that's not like, this is something that I've always been saying is practice doesn't have to be fun, but it has to be stimulating. Right. Mm-hmm. So it could be hard. Practice can be difficult, but it has to be stimulating so that they are engaged. And that's when learning occurs. So I realized that wasn't a flexible way of doing things. So what I swapped to doing now is basically with each class, I have like, with each period, right? I divide my periodization into 3 months. So I have a goal at the end of 3 months. I want them to be able to do certain things at a certain level. And then within those 3 months, I divide it up into like each month, like which ones I do in each month. And then within every 2 weeks, what do I want to do? I break it down to concepts. So during that one class, like, I'll be, okay, today we're working on this concept. Like, for example, how to do a hip throw, the hip throw mechanic or turn throws in general. And then I would have a bunch of different tools in my toolbox to teach that concept. And then depending on who shows up, you can use these different tools like to teach that concept. So that's what I do now. But that's how I avoid burnout. That's one of the ways I avoid burning out. But
so let's talk about the first part. So what most people get burnt out from is training. So how do you deal, or what's one of your things you deal with when you start feeling that you're being drained and burnt out just from training? Like, say,
I don't get burnt out
from training.
From training. So I physically get burnt out. If that's what you mean. Like some days my body is just like calling. Like yesterday. What was it yesterday? Like you said, I've been here every single day for the week, right? Except for
it's all one day. I'll just run Thursday now.
Except for Thursday, but I went to BJJ on Thursday. Mm-hmm. So I was physically like burnt out. I was mentally still fine, but then like Friday night when I was doing randori, I wasn't burnt out until like the 4th round of randori, and literally I had to go up against Ramiro. So I had like literally no strength to grip fight with him anymore, and he was literally like driving me into the wall. And I'm just like I can't. I literally just had no energy left to fight him the way that he fights, because he's so strong, and that kind of burnout happens to me, right? But I'm never ever like, oh, I don't feel like going to judo today. Like that happens to BJJ for a different reason. I'm not going to discuss right now. Maybe we'll come up. That happens for BJJ all the time, where I'm like burnt out. I'm like, I don't want to go today. I'm just not going to go. And I actually didn't go to BJJ for 2 months. Here. Yeah. So, but judo never happens because I'm just there's always something in my head I'm like, I want to work on. Like this whole year, I've been just trying to work on Uchimata, which hasn't worked out really well. But I did see progress. Like I've seen some progress, but it hasn't worked out the way I want to. But when I have a goal, then I'm always like, I can't wait to show up to judo to try the next thing. And I guess I'll talk about it now, but for BJJ, I have a goal, but due to the way that classes are structured in BJJ, I'm not able to work towards that goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like today we're going to do a inverted 360-degree reverse arm bar or something. And I'm like, I just want to practice how to pass guard today. Like, cause I can't pass guard efficiently in the BJJ sport context. So I'm like, that was my goal for this whole month, was just to learn how to pass guard or something. But like, no, we're going to learn the whole like reverse berimbolo Americana thing. Like, and then first half of the class is just warm ups and move of the week. And then I get the last 10 minutes to work on my own guard passing. And that's assuming you have a good partner. If you go up against someone that smashes you for the whole round, then yeah, that's what burns me out. It's like, I know I have a goal and I can't go to class to work towards that goal. So, but supposedly your coach knows better than you, right? So it is what it is.
Not always. And I will admit
because of the way that Philippe structures his classes, I always am able to show up to class working towards the goal I want to work towards. So I never ever feel burned out going to judo for that reason.
Yeah. For me, I will admit, I sometimes will get burnt out from practice, but it's more like some days I'll be tired or I'll be a little beat up from everything I've done lately, or my foot will get messed up, or I just got I have a lot of little nagging injuries. I'm just an old beat up old car now, or truck, what do you want to call me now? But there's some days where it's like, man, I hope I get to work with someone fun today. Like I like working with you.
Exactly.
I like working with Matt and stuff. Some people I like working with, and I'll work with some of the harder people still too. But there's some days where like, man, I really don't want to work with so-and-so today because they're not going to be fun to work with. They're not going to let me do what I want exactly. They're going to do this. They're going to be asking me a bunch of questions. Like that's the kind of burnout I deal with when I'm practicing sometimes. It's like, I want my time, someone practice time. I don't just want to do 10,000 uchikomis. Maybe I want to work on a combination. Maybe I want to work on something to newaza or something. But those are the type of days where I'll get burnt out that way when it comes to practice.
That's why, yeah, to reiterate what I said about Philippe's class, like he doesn't let you, I'm not making it sound like, okay, do whatever you want. There's not an open mat. Philippe is basically saying like, you can work where you want. It's just right now you're doing Nagikomi. Right now you're doing Uchikomi. He's not telling you which Uchikomi to do most of the time, right? And then he's like, right now it's Newaza Randori. Right now it's past the guard. And then now we're doing Randori. He gives you like guide rails to keep you on the right path, but he's not telling you you're doing this right now. Exactly this right now. You're doing exactly this right now. Unless he's showing a specific combination or technique. But lot of other dojos I visited in other parts of the country, they'll be like, today everyone's working on seoi nage. And then that's after you do like 30 minutes of burpees and like hardcore drilling, you know, like conditioning drilling. That's how you burn someone out who's recreational. Because if someone's serious about judo in terms of competing or even going, not even going to Olympics is a given, right? That they would be able to do all this stuff. But someone who's just like, I want to compete and win medals and be the best that I can, then they wouldn't get burnt out by this because they know they're paying the price right now to get the results later. So if they get burnt out by that, then that's not their goal. You're not meant for the competition route, basically. But for your average person that just wants to get a sweat in, get decently good at judo, like that's how you burn them out. But because they'll be like, man, I suck at seoi nage. I'm like 6'4". Like I would quit judo if you made me do seoi nage and all those like short people throws for most of the class. That's what's gonna make me giving you the BJJ analogy earlier, right? If I had to do stuff I didn't want to do in class, that's when I'd be like, I don't feel like going today because I'm going to have to sit through half an hour of conditioning first and then like go through a move of the day, which might or might not be something I want to do because I don't know what they're going to teach that day. And then I'll probably get like 20 minutes of randori. And then I might have to be paired up with this asshole who doesn't go light at all. Right. So that's when I'm like, I'll just stay home today. That's how I would like think. But if I already know like Philippe's structure and I know exactly what I'm going to get out of practice that today, then I'll be more likely to show up with like enthusiasm. So,
but that's a tough line when you're talking about classes like that, because you have to teach people the moves. And like, this is where I know where sometimes I get very rigid because my class is get you ready, because my class is intermediate class. So I get a lot of belt colors. I go from like orange all the way to black sometimes. Brown belt to my, not black belt, but like brown belt to my class sometimes. My thing is I need to teach you stuff to get ready for Philippe's class. That way when you get to his class.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege you get after you pay your dues, basically. Definitely.
Yeah. I got to get you ready to get for Philippe's class. That way you're not deer in the headlights when you get to this class. You don't look like a fool. You understand what he's telling you and talking to you, because he's not there. Like he's there to teach you, but he's not like, okay, this individual thing is like, okay, let's go into armbar guys. Let's go into turnovers. Or let's go into this. And my job is to get you ready for that class and teach you the techniques you need to know for each belt rank that you're going to be going for. So I know my class can sometimes be boring for people, but I always tell them like this is what my class is structured to teach you what you need to know. Yeah. And I know some people don't like my class because I don't do a whole lot of randori. I do a lot of Deiko.
Because you want people to stay for the randori session after due to the schedule.
Because the way the schedule is, you have open mat randori right after my class. So if you want to do randori so badly, stay for randori with everyone else, with the regular class people. My class is to teach you get you ready for Philippe's class, teach you what you need to know, all the moves, and get you ready. And also teach you how to do judo that you can go travel anywhere. You're not going to look like a fool. All right. It's some of the etiquette stuff that I teach and all that. So I understand how some people can get burnt out or bored in my class. I get it. Where Philippe is, once you get to his class, once you get over there, it is, all right, guys, 6 passing guards right now, back and forth. All right. Someone does drop sonagi. You do one of the korejimas to the person. Pulling ichikomis, throw at the end, whatever you want to work on and stuff, and he'll come and help you out. So that's why I think in my class sometimes, but now we're going to talk about teaching and stuff, people get burnt out. And sometimes you need to like talk to your sensei or instructor, maybe if you're getting burnt out, and ask them about questions about these things. This is one of my things, always have an open communications with your instructor. If I feel like I'm getting burnt out, sometimes you need to step away for a little while. Sometimes you just need to talk to your instructor about it, you know? But there is that fine line of the beginner's class, that's when you start learning everything. Intermediate class, that's when you start learning the moves of everything. Advanced class, when you start working on everything. I think some people forget that sometimes when they're training themselves.
This is, it's about, there's no straight answer or solution or right or wrong about this, because it's a good balance. Like it's sometimes it's the instructor's fault. Sometimes it's your own fault. And sometimes you just have to deal with the not fun parts. And it's not just judo, right? Like I always talk about skill acquisition stuff, because that's what I've been diving into, because I've been trying to learn Japanese, which has been working really well. I didn't mention it the episode where I talked about coming back from Japan, but I learned for this trip, basically verified that the methods I've been using for the last 2 years, basically, I've learned more Japanese that's usable in those 2 years based off of the immersion method than the last 8 years I've been taking Japanese classes and using the textbooks and like basically what you do in schools. Like your traditional way of thinking how to learn Japanese, like, let me go take a class and read out of this textbook and do, oh, Mary, hi, my name is Mary. Like, what is your name? Like that kind of shit doesn't really work, basically. But back to the original thing I said, learning doesn't have to be fun, it has to be stimulating. That's not just to judo, that's just any sort of skill acquisition. And there are certain things where it's not stimulating, it's not fun. Like if I was playing guitar, I'd have to go through all the boring learning how to learn the thing, which is what I'm doing right now, is learning all the finger positions. But the reward is when you are able to play a small tune. But you're eyeing that reward, so you go through all the boring stuff. And judo has some of that too. Same thing with Japanese. Like I always it's pretty much proven that immersion works better. But if you can't even understand the basic words, like you don't have to. I'm not even talking about grammar. Just the basic word, the verbs, the most common words that you see in Japanese, then you can't consume material, right? So you have to grind through the flashcards, the memorizing of those words, so you have at least a small basic understanding. So when you try to read these sentences, then you kind of see words you recognize, and then that stimulates your mind. Like, oh, I recognize that word. And you start trying to work towards piecing these puzzles together on what the sentence means. And that's stimulating your mind to solve this problem. And that's how you memorize and learn language. Same thing with judo. If you don't know any basics and you just go into randori, one, it's like, yes, you might get hurt, right? Injury. But two, you're not learning judo. You're just like fighting, or at that point. I was about to use the word wrestling, but that would be like talking down wrestling, which is requires skill too. But you're basically not really learning at that point. You're just like fighting based off your natural instincts.
Now let's talk about now as you and me as instructors now dealing with like instructor burnout.
Well, before I was going to add on to what you said, right? All right. So how to deal with that feeling is, yes, talk to your instructors is one thing you mentioned, but then sometimes like some instructors might not be that as helpful as Philippe, honestly.
True.
But you have to ask yourself, do I actually want to take a break? Because if you take a break, you might risk not coming back. But sometimes you're just so burnt out that you needed a break. Like my Japan trip was my break, and it was good because I came back and I was refreshed and I was ready to do it again. So that worked out. But some people will take a break and realize maybe judo's not for me, which is fine too. Which is fine. But you don't want it to be like someone who takes a break, like, oh, today I'm not going to floss my teeth. And then like tomorrow you're like, well, no, I'll take another break from flossing, right? Then it becomes like a habit. So that's something you don't want to do. So you really have to identify whether practice is not stimulating for you, which taking a break won't really resolve itself. It just means, I'm not saying you're not interested in judo, but you're not interested in the way that your instructor is teaching judo to you. Then taking a break would just not help that at all. But if it's stimulating, but you just needed a break because it's just too much, like you just need a rest, then yes, take a break. And then, yes, you can also talk to your instructor. They can talk you through it. And then also analyze your goals, right? If you're like, I want to become a national champion, then just suck it up. Keep doing it. So that's all I have to do. But exactly. a good sign that you need to take a break is not that you don't want to go to class or that you don't find practice stimulating. A good sign is if you start zoning out in class, like thinking about other things instead of what you're doing at the moment, that's a pretty good sign you should take a break or reevaluate whether you should be, let's just say, training at this particular place. I'm not even going to say judo because every judo club is different, right? One sensei might teach something you're super into. Like some senseis talk about like philosophies, like super recreational judo. and you're interested in that. It might not help you become a good fighter, but like if you're interested in that, that's stimulating. So that's why I don't want to say maybe you should quit judo, but you should reevaluate whether you should be training at that particular place you're training if you find yourself zoning out during practice. Yep. Okay.
All
so
right.
that's all I had for that.
No, it's a good one right there. It's a lot of good stuff right there. So let's talk about that. Was you training yourself and stuff. You training, getting into judo. And someone I'm not talking about what the before. I'm not talking about a person that just started doing judo. If you're still a yellow belt and stuff, you shouldn't be zoning. You shouldn't be zoning out. You shouldn't be want to take a break. You should still be engaged and loving judo still. I'm more talking about the higher ranked person, like the brown belt or even the black belt that's been doing this a long time, or maybe like the blue or green belt. But now let's talk about, I think we're instructors. And yes, even instructors get burnt out. Okay. Because we have to be thinking about
what you mean instructors don't just enjoy torturing their students for fun?
We do enjoy that. I'm not gonna lie, we do enjoy that very much. And if you're there's a little theory here, if your instructors very burnt out and tired of this, you guys, that's when you get tortured the most. That is just human nature, all right. I'm sorry, guys. So if your teacher is making you do push-ups, sit-ups, a lot of painful, weird ass, all right. He's burnt out.
Yeah, I only make people do conditioning. Like for example, my last class yesterday, I had them do crunches at the end because like I ended like 4 minutes early, and there's not enough for another like drill or game or whatever. And then I don't want to talk for like 9-10 minutes. So I'm like, okay, do your crunches. So that kills like 3 minutes, and they're doing something productive. And then I have like a little bit of time left at the end. But that's
I have you guys do judo exercises, just you guys get judo muscles and have built it into you, stuff you can do on your own and stuff. I'm not torturing you, okay? I promise.
Yeah, but
maybe
instructors do get burnt out. I haven't experienced, well, maybe a little bit, but not as much as what people think. Yeah, I don't really get burnt out from teaching judo. It's still interesting to me as long as it keeps me interested, and I don't have to deal with the politics of teaching. Like some people have to deal with USA Judo and all that stuff because we're already teaching for free, right?
Yeah, we do the love of the game.
If I'm teaching for free and I have to deal with like drama and politics and all that stuff, then at a certain point, I'm like, I don't get paid enough to deal with this shit. That's Well, that's when you get to that point of like, this is kind of funny, but again, why I like going to catch. At catch, I'm not an assistant instructor. I'm not teaching this class. I'm just a student. I'm just another guy. I just go there, train, have fun. Where at the dojo, as a black belt, as one of the instructors, as an assistant instructor stuff, I'm obligated to help people. We're one of those things where one of my things is that, because when I was a kid, I used to hate it as myself as a kid. I used to hate seeing when I got older, that odd man out, if I can prevent, I'll be the odd man out as long as everyone gets to train. So if someone comes in, I'll step out, let someone in. And I'll kind of other dojos and gyms, and I'll see someone come in the odd man out, and they'll someone like, no, I want to train. I don't care. I'm gonna let that person be odd man out. So as an instructor, you have stuff like that to think about. But again, so going back to like being burnt out about instructing, I understand how some people get burnt out from instructing if they have now this is going to be mean if I say this, the way I say this, but limited knowledge of judo moves. Because in reality, you shouldn't really get burnt out from teaching moves. There are so many moves out there to learn. All right. There's so many moves out there to teach. I'm limited to teaching out of like a really small subset of moves from the beginners program that Philippe wrote. Yeah. I still find new ways of teaching it all the time.
Yeah. So. I have 5 belt ranks of moves to teach people that I need to make sure they all get pretty decently at. So I have all these moves to teach people, and I've come up with something different every time. It's like, oh man, when was the last time I went over this throw? Oh, it's been like a good couple months. Let's see Zoom class today. Okay, good. I can teach this move to these people. I don't get burnt out right that way by teaching that way. What gets me, and this is one thing, because I really don't get burnt out from teaching personally. I really enjoy teaching it, but I can understand how other people can't. They keep doing the same routine over and over and over again. Then you have to look into what do I need to change? How do I change this up? And again, like going back to my class, yes, my class is very formulaic, but I change things up a little bit. You know, one day is going to be a lot of like judo muscle training stuff. This day's going to be a lot of gymnastics kind of stuff to warm up. This stuff's going to be a lot of just straight judo exercises to warm you up and stuff. But it's always like a very similar format for me, but I don't do the same thing every time.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you say. It's just, you got to be very careful not to dive into remember the episode that we made about exercises? Should we stop doing certain exercises?
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm super convinced some people do that because they are bored and they're like, oh, my students are probably also bored of doing the same routine all the time. So let's do something fun, like, I don't know, like dumb, dangerous exercises, right? But
let's do something torturous.
Yeah, but doing something new just for the sake of new is not always, let's just say, I wouldn't say it's not always good, but it's like most of the time it's not good. You really have to see, going back to what I said, like whether there's actually a benefit to it, basically, like, and whether it's safe, because variability in skill acquisition and training is an important tool. Like going back to what I said about tools, which is we talked about in the past in beginner episode from like 2 years ago about what do you call it? Variable training versus block training, right? So variable training is definitely more, in the long term, you see much better results than repeating the same motion over and over and over again. Repeating the same motion over and over again will get you better short-term benefits, but then long-term wise, the variable one goes all the way up. So changing stuff up is definitely a really good tool, but changing it too often or not knowing what to change, and you're just changing it just cause, then that's not like a good thing. So just be very careful when you do that.
Just like anything, you need to evolve, you know, look at other judo programs out there. Look at what the Japanese are doing and the French team is doing and stuff. If you get bored, you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like these guys aren't evolving or changing. Is that my fault? You're getting feel like I'm failing these people. So you're getting burnt out by doing it. Look at different programs and what they do to train. And I'm not saying like do the most dangerous thing you can find from there, but see something that you can do similar or watch these programs like you do all the time. Like I watch a lot of judo videos too about training and stuff, but you watch a lot more than I do. And try to adapt those into your program. You know, this is the thing that you can do there's tons of ways. Like it's just as an instructor, unless you get like terrible students, and I'm sorry, because I understand sometimes you get a very bad crop sometimes, but you really shouldn't, in my opinion, become bored from training judo. Or teaching judo. Because there's just so much out there to do and teach and show. Tachiwaza days, Newaza days. Hey, let's go old school days. Let's do some leg grabs today, guys. All right. You know,
I think the only thing that I think the only reason you should be bored of teaching is if you have a really small dojo, a really small class, and shitty students. Like that's like literally the worst lot. Yeah,
that's like a perfect storm of everything.
Yeah, if you have like 2 people in your class and they're like lazy and they just show up and like they're like, oh, if I keep showing up and doing this stuff, then I'll get my black belt kind of attitude. You know what I mean? Which is like, I don't want to say kids, but just because kids have a different brain than adults, but sometimes you have these guys coming in acting like kids.
I didn't know that.
Sometimes you have adults coming in acting like kids or teenagers, right? So if you only have a few of them and they're like basically uncoachable is what I would use the term for, then then I would get burnt out. I can see you getting burnt out from teaching.
And here's my one suggestion. If you do get burnt down, this one thing that we do at our dojo, because there's a lot, because there's Philippe, myself, Anthony, Eric, and we have a couple of assistants as well and stuff that help us out a lot. If you're getting burnt out by the class, maybe step away a second and let someone else teach the class for you or take over part of the class, you know, let someone else do the warm-ups and you take over technique. That's just a suggestion if you trust somebody. Because I'm not saying like, you want to know what? I got to get out of here. All right. I'm not saying like go get on a Southwest flight and get somewhere. All right. I got to go take a long vacation or something. But maybe somebody just letting someone else teach or help you would help you out if you're getting burnt out. So I know that's what Anthony does sometimes.
And another
call
thing
me up and be like, Juan, I can't take these kids. Can you come please teach this class for me today?
No lie. Some days I do feel like that. Like, which is why whenever you show up, I'm like, you know what, you run class, because it's like a break for me, right? So I do appreciate that. But also one other thing you want to consider is how much newaza a lot of places aren't training. So if you get burnt out teaching the same tachiwaza technique, maybe do a newaza heavy class.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like that's such a whole half of judo that's like untouched, basically, and underrepresented that you could do.
And I mean, here's a little cheat for anybody. Okay. A whole randori class. You don't feel like teaching? I'm tired of these kids. I'm tired of these adults. Randori, hour and a half straight. Let's go.
So that's pretty much what I do at the end of the 3-month cycle. I talk about the 3-month cycle I've been doing. At the end, I call that the testing period. So I want to test them. Not the kind of tests you're thinking of, but I want to see whether they exhibit the behaviors that I've been trying to elicit out of them from the previous 3 months, right? So are they off balancing people in the right ways? Are they seeing these opportunities that I'm trying to get them to see? Are they, I don't want to say bending their knees, but because it's, let's just say bending their knees to keep it simple. Are they bending their knees
backwards and breaking their legs?
Yeah.
No. Oh God.
Yeah. Are they bending their knees? Are they turning enough? Are they getting the correct grips before actually trying to enter the throws? Are they noticing that the other person's dominating grips and trying to strip it, or are they trying to throw from a really like dominated position, which would not work, right? So I'm at the end, I do let them do these constrained randori rounds to basically the whole class to see if they're actually eliciting that behavior, and then I adjust the next cycle based off of it, because I'll be like, well, they're not doing that thing that I was doing the last 3 months, so clearly the tools that I was using to try and get that behavior is not working. So I'm going to try something else the next cycle. That's what keeps me interested, is I'm constantly like able to review this kind of thing. But yeah, if you are getting like back to the what you said, if you're getting burnt out from teaching the same thing over and over again, maybe you should pick up some books, or like what I did, pick up some books, or like just learn how to different ways of coaching. And like you said, look at other videos, but it will get your brain turning and again, engaged in the process. But if you find that kind of boring, then maybe coaching isn't for you. Like,
how dare you say that? I'm a black belt, therefore I can teach anyone, open my own dojo anywhere I want. All right. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm a brown belt. I can open up any community center dojo I want.
Yeah. Like if you just are interested in reiterating the same thing that you yourself went through all the time, not that it's wrong, right? No, I'm not saying it's wrong, but if that's all you're interested in, that's going to be what you're limited to. Right. So,
no, but it is true that not everyone's made out to coach. Not everyone's made out there to be a good sensei, and there's a difference between being a good sensei and being a good coach, but maybe you're just not made to teach. You know, you see this a lot I notice a lot with Brazilian jiu-jitsu people, a lot that,
high level competitors that basically have people repeat their shit. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, they're a great competitor. They're a world champion here. Naga this, Abu Dhabi that. They're opening their own gym. And then next thing I read, they're closing up their shop. The gym's closed after a year and stuff. Because there's a fact. Not everyone's made out there to teach. And here's one thing out there for some people to think about. If you love judo or grappling, whatever, maybe you can own a gym, but maybe you find someone else to coach that gym.
Yeah.
Not every black belt is meant to teach. All right. That's just a fact of the matter. That's just truth. All right. I'm sorry. Someone might get mad at me right now. I guess I'm hating mail later, getting some heat, find me in a dark alley. I love it.
I want to say the funny thing is everyone agrees with what you said. Everyone agrees it, but everyone thinks that they're not that person.
I'm not that guy. That's not.
I'm not that guy.
I'm not that guy. Nah, that's that other guy. That's down the street. That's at the other place.
Yeah. So, and there's nothing to be ashamed about, but, I will say, like, I won't make it super obvious who it is, but, people will probably know if you follow the circuit. There's a really famous judoka that, trying to filter out which words I should filter out. There's a really famous judoka that everyone was like looking up to, and he has tons of instructionals. Like everyone's like, he's one of the greatest of all time. And then he was hired to teach at a certain country that was coach at a certain country that was doing pretty well at the time. But after he came on, if you follow like their performance, it's just like did a steep drop. And because it's like he was teaching them the same way he trained himself. He's like, this worked for me. You're all going to do the same thing. And what happened was they all overtrained. Like they just could not keep up the training volume that they were doing. And you can just see exactly. And you see their medal count just like dropped off a cliff. And I've been watching the performance in general and it has not been that great. So, and sometimes it's not just the volume. It's just like, okay, you hired this guy who has this specific type of judo style, which is not compatible with certain countries' like style, right? So yeah, so that there's that too. So it kind of goes like, oh, he's a super high level competitor. He must be a great coach. Might not necessarily be true, and also he might be a great coach, but might not be the good coach for these people, right? Someone's calling.
Maybe he's a better specialist coach.
Yeah. So that's the thing about coaching and stuff. Like there's many ways to not get around it, but things that you can do to stimulate yourself to become a better coach if you do ever become burnt out from coaching. I understand like just a lot of classes. And we said like get a substitute, get a help you out. So the other part we're going to talk about burnt out is, so what do you want to talk about? It was like, what's your scientific way of discussing this next one? You're on silent. I'm sorry. I was like, I had to respond to the message saying I'm recording right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All I see is Andy's mouth moving. He's like hands, mouth moving, nothing coming out of there.
Yeah. The other part of burnout that I wouldn't call it burnout, but it's like, is training judo worth it? That's probably what I would title this podcast is burnout, and is training judo actually worth it? So we're talking about opportunity costs.
The juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah, if you are already dedicating so much time at the dojo, like obviously you're a casual person that can show up twice a week and then like, oh, next week I have a party, so I'm just going to skip class. Like that's not going to be a problem for you. But for people like us who are committed in one way or another to judo,
yeah, definitely committed.
Well, I'm saying committed because I said I committed to teaching these classes, so I can't just like.
I'm talking about the insane asylum that we're going to next week.
Oh, so yeah, the Hollywood Judo, right? Yeah. So yeah, for those of us who are committed to doing certain things or already spent, committed can be in terms of time or money or emotional investment, right? So when you're committed to something like that, whether it's worth it, what are you trading off to do this? Like it's for love of the sport, right? So I already kind of gave a preview of that earlier earlier when we were talking about this. When I went to Japan, I was like looking at my suitcase and I'm like, do I want to pack a judo gi on this trip? Like I don't think people, especially my wife, I don't think they understand how conflicted I was, like emotionally conflicted. Like it was really driving me nuts that I couldn't sleep. I would be having dreams where I went to Japan and I was like, shit, I forgot to pack a judo gi. Like literally I was like freaking out on that. And I'm like, you know what? This trip, it's the times I'm not going to be training judo the first week when I'm in Shikoku with my sisters. And in the second week, I have all these people I wanted to meet up with. I didn't want to train judo because honestly, training judo in Japan was nice, but it's not the all out be out that people make it out to be. Yeah. You can listen to our other episodes about it and about our sensei who moved back to Japan, like his experience about judo there. But so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pack a gi, but I will leave room for souvenirs, and it could be a judo gi, which is what I ended up doing. Was I bought a judo gi there to train. So yeah, and I went there, and the first week where there's no judo, I'm like, this is nice. Like I remember how much time I spent on judo related activities in 2019 when I was there, and how I'm like, I could be seeing all the other beautiful parts of this country, and I missed out on it because I decided to go train judo. And not that I regret it, because I met tons of awesome people through that trip in the judo community. But going forward, I think I would not make judo training a priority anymore on my trips. I think seeing seeing other parts of the country, and also just taking a break from coaching and teaching and thinking about judo. And I talked about how I was so tired that I didn't even get to work on the Ukemi videos or my lesson plans. Not that it was bad. Like it was nice. It was nice taking a break, stepping away from it. You can't, your brain can't always be 100% engaged. And I know I said I'm not getting paid for it, right? So, but it's the same concept. You need a break from work. You can't always 100% be engaged in work, because sometimes you just aren't able to think outside the box if you don't take a break. So sometimes you walk away for a second and come back. You get like a new perspective on ideas and how to solve problems and stuff like that. So I really thought it was great. But it also had me question, which is why I suggested we talk about this. Is like, what am I giving up when I'm spending this much time, right? I'm lucky I don't have kids. I don't plan to have kids. So I'm able to do all this stuff. But obviously, if I've had kids, I would definitely prioritize the kids over judo, right?
No, nah. Bring the kid to judo. Strap him on your back. Yeah.
Right now, I'd be sacrificing is all these other hobbies I have, right? I'm starting to get into with the podcast and the short videos we're making. Mm-hmm. I've been like really interested in videography and photography, but it's another expensive hobby.
No, you're interested in doing judo videography and judo photography,
which got me interested in just going out to do other stuff. Like I today my plan was actually to just drive out to the coast and Torrance Beach and just like bring my camera and just take photos, because I've never done that before. And if I was like doing my open mats on Sundays, I want to be able to do that. So if I was still keeping my training regimen, I'd be out on a run and then I'd be lifting weights, and then I wouldn't be able to do that. And that's the thing. Like, people are like, judo doesn't take up that much time. You have like a few hours in between. You can do this and do that. But sometimes it's like you have like an hour slot in between. It's like, do I really want to drive there to do like 10 minutes of photography and then drive back and then like do my next judo related thing? You know?
Well, that's the thing, that for people like you and me that live, breathe judo, lives this martial art life and stuff, that's how you and me think, like me just playing out my day. Okay, I'm gonna do podcasts here. I'm gonna go to the store there. I'm gonna do the clothes here. Tonight, do I want to do the run tonight? Do I want to do my bike tonight? Do I want to be lazy, do a sauna instead, so I can at least watch a TV show and stuff? But if I do the sauna, that'll be good, but the bike might be better today. But best I should do the run, because the run's gonna cut the most weight and stuff. Should I wear my plastics today? Nah, I don't want to wear my plastics today. Nah, I should wear my plastics just so I can start the cut now. How's my foot feel? My foot okay? Should I run today?
Yeah, just do the bike instead. Is that whole thought process and stress like related, worth it, is what I want to say.
But that's how we are. Like, everything we do for you and me, for the most part, always, I know it comes back to judo or just comes back to martial arts and stuff. It just goes back, just comes back to working out. Okay. Anybody can relate to that. Like, well, not anybody, but most people can relate to like my workout time. All right. And my life or time, I'm knocking with my right here, revolves around my workout time. Where some people, where judo is just a hobby, it's just, they only think about judo on judo days. They think about judo, the 2 hours that they're there, or the 2 hours of like to get there and get back home after practice. And to them, that's their hobby. Where for you and me, other than our jobs and stuff, our whole thought process is about judo. And it's that thing about like, oh, well, like you said, if I go on this vacation, can I do that? I was thinking of going to go visit my sister in Texas. Okay. I was planning maybe going out there for Thanksgiving this year. Maybe New Year's. I ain't going to spend Christmas out there, because I'm going to take all presents all the way out there and bring presents back to California and stuff. But it doesn't, just a holiday to go see my sister and my niece, my nephew and stuff, and my mom. The town that she lives in, the small town that she lives in, I guess it's a medium-sized town, I guess. I don't know how small it is. At first, I thought it was a small town, but there was one of the main things when I was going to visit her was thinking was, is there a judo dojo? The few days I'll be out there, is there a Friday class or Saturday morning class on open mat Saturday or something, or Sunday? If I go visit her, is there a judo club? I can't find one, which is funny. I found like 10 BJJ clubs, a sambo place, but no judo. But that's one thing when I go visit people, is first thing I think about. Is there a gym I can go do judo at? Because for us, it's easy to go hop to the gym to train.
Yeah.
Where if I want to go do a kickboxing class, it's a little bit tougher to find a hop-in kickboxing. It's actually easier to find a hop-in boxing class than it is for a kickboxing class.
Well, you're talking about real kickboxing, not cardio kickboxing.
Yeah, real kickboxing. Yeah,
because you can find cardio kickboxing everywhere.
Yeah. Or even like if I wanted to go find a karate gym, like it's like impossible to find a drop-in karate gym. And then especially a Tonks dojo, that's my style, that would let me train. You know, if I could find a UFEF gym or anything else, I would just accept me to let me come train with them. Where judo's easy. Federation, like judo's just open. Judo's like, if you're a judo player, we accept you. This is how it is.
Yep.
Wherever you train judo at, come to judo. We don't care. But it's just one of the things where we think about it all the time, and other people don't. You know, and taking that break sometimes helps clear your mind. You know,
yeah, I think it's worth it because it's not that I'm like I said, I only think about this when I'm not doing judo related stuff, like at my Japan holiday or I'm trying to think. I went to my aunt's like New Year party and stuff like that, like two weeks in a row, right? I went yesterday to one aunt's party, and then last week I was out in Palms Desert, like celebrating another one. And I'm looking at all these people having fun and playing golf at a resort. I'm just like, normally right now I'd be teaching class. So
see, that's the good part right there. But the truth of the matter is, here's the fact of the matter. If class is on like a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, okay, class is from around 7 to 9. All right. We have different schedules and stuff, but 7 to 9 or kids class earlier than that. What would you be doing? You're not golfing at that time. What you may be learning the guitar at that time or something. But what most people are going to do? Most people are just to stay home and watch TV. Just stay home and watch network TV or put on Netflix or Amazon and watch something there. Yep. Most people, and I'm going to get some for this also. Most people aren't going to be like, I'm going to do something very productive. I'm going to learn the piano or learn a different language or go to a language class instead.
I guess I'm not normal in that sense. I try to squeeze out every single minute of my day.
I know. Like that's like, there's times we all want to be lazy. Sometimes I think about what were my parents doing at their age at this time. Well,
when there's no TV or Netflix or that kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah. It's just radio at that time, man. Yeah, they're all sitting next to the radio. Today on the radio station, we had the New York Bombers bought the. No, there was TV by then.
You gotta remember, I don't watch TV at all, basically. So yeah,
they had colored black and white TV. No, but the thing about it, what were my parents doing at their age at this time? Oh, well, I was this old at this point. So what was we thinking? I think we're just staying home and watching TV, you know, which is where I got my love of film and television at growing up and stuff. But that's the fact of the matter. Most people aren't doing the extra classes, going to a knitting class or sewing class or something.
I have a whole bucket list of things I want to do. And I had to literally had to give up on some stuff. Like, right now, I've been saying I want to learn guitar. I honestly haven't had time. And it's mostly because of the judo coaching and the Japanese, because the judo stuff and learning Japanese.
Blaming the Japanese now. You're blaming the Japanese for all your problems.
Learning Japanese are the two things that I prioritize the most. So I maybe pull out my guitar once every like 3 months. So that, which is not enough for learning, but at least I'm kind of like still engaging in it. And that's just like how it is. Like, but I'm always thinking of, average age is like 80. Average people, most on average, humans live until like their 80s, right? And might increase. And I'm like, but I won't be doing judo the way I'm doing when I'm 80. So most of your, I don't want to say athletic, but like mentally sound and physically sound lifespan is like from now until your mid 60s. To be fair, yeah, like. After that, you're going to start like sleeping more in general, right? And then you're going to be more, your mental capacity starts dropping, like you're not as coordinated and all that stuff. So now is the time for me to learn stuff like Japanese and judo and travel, right? Because I'm already looking at my parents and my mom's like 78 or something, and my dad's like 81, and they're already like, we can't do international trips anymore. That's like, they said we can, but then it'll be hard. And then my back hurts. I can't walk too far. So they wouldn't be able to do the hiking kind of stuff I did in Japan this trip. And then they need an afternoon nap. What else? What was the other? They need an afternoon nap. They can't do that. And then just in general, you can't do that anymore. So I'm like, I want to do all that now. And then I could always learn the guitar later. It might be more difficult, but I can always learn the guitar later. I can always learn flower arrangement later. I can always do all these other things. Tea ceremony, like I can do that later. But I want to learn Japanese now because I want to learn Japanese and be able to use it to connect with people and do all these fun stuff while I'm there using Japanese. So that's how I prioritize my stuff. And that's something you honestly have to ask is like, is it worth trading the stuff I want to do for these stuff that I won't be able to do in the future? So you can always watch TV later when you're retired. Like, right?
Well, that's how I was when I did MMA. When I had my first MMA fights, and I had my smokers or underground fights, they call it. Well, there's smoker underground fights. We're going to call them back in the day because MMA wasn't legal in California yet. They were still safe. We weren't fighting like some dingy basement and stuff. They were at legit gyms and stuff. There was medical staff there, but they just couldn't call them MMA fights legally. When I had those fights, it was like, man, you know, like I really want to get MMA. I want to fight MMA to see how I would do. You know, I'm still young. And then when I had my few fights and I moved to LA and stuff, I was training judo, getting back into doing a whole lot of martial arts again. And I was in my later 20s. Yeah, my later 20s. And I was like, I think with Rashad Evans was doing an interview. And he was talking about how he used to work at a morgue I think he worked at a morgue as a security guard or something. And he was moving bodies. And he was like, man, when this guy got to do everything he wanted to do in life, because this is why Rashad went into MMA and said he didn't want to live his life wondering and live his life with regrets. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you want to know what? And I heard about MMA going to become legal in California, like just through the grapevine, reading stuff, Black Belt Magazine back in the day, just knowing that MMA was going to become legal in California. So maybe amateur MMA would become legal in California. And that's why I had my last few fights was, you want to know what? I don't want to live my life with regrets. I want to have at least some legal, legit MMA fights to be like, hey, I fought legally. I did kickboxing stuff, had some amateur boxing, that I did legit MMA, not, hey, I did some smoker MMA fights in the underground.
I did a smoker and Muay Thai, yeah.
Yeah, I did some underground stuff, you know. It was like blood sport. I had to go underneath this tunnel right here, had this Chinese guy laugh at me.
I love Muay Thai, but doing the smoker was what made me realize Muay Thai wasn't for me. Like I enjoy the intensity of the training and sparring and stuff, but I feel like this is just me. Obviously it does judo. It wouldn't translate to judo, the reasoning. But for me, I'm like, I don't want to do Muay Thai if I'm not fighting. What the conclusion I came up to was I don't want to be training so hard just for the heck of it, instead of training so hard for a fight. Yeah, because I don't think I'd be motivated to train until I freaking puke, which is literally what happened. Just to look good. Like I was in the best shape of my life when I was training Muay Thai. Like I would want to have a goal to chase, like a title belt or something like that, in order for me to keep training that hard. And I know right after I did a smoker, which isn't even a real thing, like you said, I'm like, this is not for me. I don't want to get punched in the head every day. Right. So that's when I just quit. Cause I'm like, I know if I kept training this hard, I would be doing it just for fun. And I didn't find it fun. So it would have to be chasing something.
With my MMA fights, I just wanted to get it out my system. I wanted to get as many fights as I could in 1 year with my license, get at least as many fights as I could in 1 year, and was allowed to get it out my system. I said that so I could say I did it. I went out there. I should have got paid. I should have did it. Now that I get older, I'm like, man, I should have just gone pro and got paid for it at least. No.
Yeah. So I know it's like a cliche thing. Like even if we say it now, what I'm about to say is it might not come across properly to people. Like you said, I don't want to live my life with regrets. Right.
Yeah. Wondering.
And you hear that all the time, but everyone keeps repeating it. In the sense, they're like, oh, it wasn't until I had this experience that I feel like I don't want to live my life without regrets. It's because that's how humans are. No matter who tells you, including us right now, who's telling you, you're just going to be like, yeah, we've heard that before, until you experience something, some sort of important event, or like someone dies or something, or a revelation yourself, you're not going to be like, wow, I really understand it now. And that's the same thing with martial arts. Like you can't, some words that you say, it just won't convey properly. The best you can do as a coach is just like let them know, so that when they actually, the best you can do is to let them know and put them on the right path to experience that themselves. I'm not telling you to kill their closest friend or something like that. But
oh my God, why you gotta go extreme? Why you gotta go extreme?
Because I was talking about but you have to put them, as a coach, you put them on the path so they can experience that themselves and understand it for themselves. Because like I said, I've heard that all the time. I don't want to live my life with regrets, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. It's not until a lot of people I'm close with passed away, or I'm like literally getting to my like 30s now, and I'm counting down to how many days do I have until I can't do this stuff the way I want to anymore. And I already have a bum knee now, right? So that's already like, I'm like, I really need to be careful how I spend my time. And that's assuming you still live. Like I'm always thinking, if I get hit by a car tomorrow and then I get like a second to reflect on my life, like let's say I get hit by a car and I'm like flying through the air and I get like a second to like,
and you don't do a good ukemi afterwards.
Yeah,
you didn't hit that ukemi right.
I have a second to reflect on my life. I would be like, would I be okay? Obviously, like I'd be like, oh, I miss my dog, I miss my wife, but would I be okay with what I've accomplished? Yeah. Would I be okay with what I have accomplished so far? Like, would I be like, man, yesterday I really wish I didn't skip BJJ class, which I think about it and I'll be like, nah, I don't give a shit. Like, but like, that's how I live every day. It's like, same thing with Winter Nationals. Like if I died in a freaking plane crash on a flight to India, would I be like, man, I wish I did Winter Nationals instead?
Well, you'd be like, man, if I was at Winter Nationals, I wouldn't be alive. Goddamn airplane.
Yeah. Well, other than that, but like, I'm thinking like that every day. And I'm always like, I talked about it before to some of my friends and they made fun of me for it, but they literally have images that you can buy on Amazon that print out there of the average age of a human's life, right? And then there's like a grid, and you would like mark off every single day that you've been alive, basically, and it shows you like the remaining amount of days you have alive, assuming you live until then, right?
Yeah.
So when you put that into context, you're like, holy crap, I only have this much left to live. I mean, this many days left to live. And when you put that into context with time is a funny thing in your memory, right? Like when you're a kid, certain things seem like it's taking forever, but then when you get older, everything seems like it's flying by. So when you put that into context, you're like, that's not that many freaking days to live. So I always think about how I'm going to use those remaining days I have, basically. So that's how I prioritize, and that's how I don't get burnt out. From another reason I don't get burnt out from teaching judo, because I know this isn't something, well, for me personally, it's not something I would do forever. Definitely.
Well, it's definitely something that why I still compete is because it's something I know I can't do forever. I know there's going to be that day or that year or that term I'm going to go like, I can't do this no more.
But you enjoy competing.
Yeah. I only know competing. That's the thing. Like I grew up only knowing competing, wrestling, karate, kickboxing, but that's all I know, which is for someone like me, it's just like when I hit that wall one day, I remember having that conversation with my karate instructor, my pops, one day. He was like, Juan, there's gonna be one day where you can't take on everybody at the bar. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I never come that day. Then you get older and you're like, oh my God, there's
this invention called a gun.
No, yeah.
a machine gun here, specifically.
Right? I hand-to-hand combat, man. I ain't no gun.
Yeah, but you enjoy competing and I don't. Like for me, competing is a tool to reach my goal, which is to see what works. It's like a testing ground, right? And it's a testing ground other than for teaching, but also for my mental like training for under stress. So that to me is what competing is for. I'm doing it because I like it's something I know I have to do for my main objective, which is improving my judo, but it's not something I enjoy doing. I think it's an absolute waste of money and time, honestly. But,
how dare you say that? I'm so hurt.
And also, I think a huge part of the direction that judo has taken that made it less popular now. It is because of how much emphasis on competition has been. So, which wasn't an intention of Kano, everyone knows. So I'm not going to go into that philosophical discussion. And competitions are important, is what I'm saying. But it's like people are taking it too far. And I'm not saying people as in the people that are training for Olympics. I'm talking about your average YMCA instructor. Like I was talking to one of our new students who's done judo for 3 months and before coming to us. And he said he did it in college for 3 months. And he's like, man, you guys teach like so different. Like when I was training there at my college, it was just all about competition. Like there's no technique. There's no break fall training. It's just like conditioning and then like tons of nagikomi, burpees and all that stuff. And then this coach would be like, you should be lifting weights outside of the dojo. And it's because the guy only cares about competition results. He knows he only has 4 years with this guy. So why would I bother teaching them technique? Because I would not see the returns. Best thing I can do to get them to win competitions and be like, oh, that coach is a good coach. His students are great. It's if they bring home medals. And the best way to do that to someone who's only there for a few years or less, is to make them lift weights and make them stronger and faster and stuff.
And then they get burnt out.
So that's that. But about that grid thing I talked about, I'll try and find it and put it in the description. People are curious.
I don't want people having this. No, I don't like this. No, do not get that. You know what's kind of funny? I have a savings account thing that I had, special savings account that I have for retirement. And it has this dial on there and stuff. And I look at it, I'm like, man, I don't have that much time. Holy shit.
Exactly. But sometimes people don't realize that until it hits them in the face like that. So.
All right. So Anthony, is there anything else you want to discuss about people getting burnt out or just getting wiped out from not competition? Well, competition too, but being a judo player, teacher, instructor, minimizing or maximizing their time.
Yeah. To summarize, you don't want to maximize. Well, before I summarize, it sounds like I'm maximizing my time. It's kind of like, I don't want to say OCD. I hate overusing the term OCD, but it's definitely a little bit obsessive. And when I was like trying to gain weight and I was tracking all my I was carrying around a freaking scale and to track all my macros when I was powerlifting. And it wasn't healthy. It was definitely affecting my mental health and my social health, my social relationships with my friends. Cause I'd be like, you guys are going to eat there. I can't eat any of that stuff.
I can't eat that.
Yeah. Like, so you have to find a balance, right? And same thing with maximizing your time. Like I talked about linking you that grid, but it's also not good to be like, I only have this many days left. I need to like do this tomorrow. I can't go to the bar and drink with my friend. Like, no, like you just need to put it into context to make sure you're not like, you know what, today I'm just going to sit here, smoke a blunt and do nothing. Like it's okay to have days like that. But when you spend a lot of days like that, you sometimes need some reality to smack you in the face and be like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Kind of thing.
Go to the gym, work out, do some judo.
Yeah. And don't think of like socializing or taking a rest day or spending time just doing nothing as a waste of time. That's recovery in terms of physical and mental recovery. It's also an important part of development and training. Like in fact, for those of you who are overtraining and feel like you're not making progress on your judo or any skill in particular, the science says most of your learning happens when you rest and sleep. So you should probably sleep more if you're not sleeping. That's what I tell people. Like, that's why you dream, because your brain is like reorganizing all the information and forming the neural connections and all that kind of stuff. So make sure rest is an important part. But to summarize, if you're burnt out, like we said, reevaluate why you're burning out. Talk to your instructor if you think it's going to be helpful, or find a different club, or find a different hobby, or just take a break. So reevaluate which one you think is it. And then regarding whether it's worth it to train judo or not, that's up to you to decide. Basically, I mean, it might not seem very helpful, but we kind of brought up our personal experiences and why it's worth it to us, why we keep doing it. And hopefully it helps you put things into perspective and decide it for yourself too. So
it's very worth it. Doing judo is super worth it. It's the most worth it thing out there.
Yeah, that's let's just like edit the whole episode to be just that. Like
just that.
Juan's like, it's worth it. All right.
All right, that's it. Have a good week, guys. Take care of yourselves. All right. And with that, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me at @Jared_Juan on Instagram. You can follow Anthony at Anthony Throws on Instagram. You can follow Tatami Talk itself on Instagram at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on YouTube at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on Threads on Tatami Talk. If you have any questions, things you want us to talk about, things you want us to go over. I know we had a viewer question we forgot to get to today, I believe. But you can send it to us at tatamitalk@gmail.com. Anthony, is there anything else I'm forgetting right now?
No.
All right. And with that, don't forget to
reevaluate your life and follow us and slap the mat. Yeah.
A lot of stuff out there. Just do it all.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.